Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I'm Rachel,
I'm Hannah.
and this is the You Talking to Me podcast. This week, we are watching, I just said watching, and I mean reviewing. I say that every time I say anything. We're reviewing the original Parent Trap. And why are we doing this? Because this month is originals versus remakes, where one week we'll be watching the original version of the film, and the next week we'll be watching the remake and going over all the differences, what we like, dislike, which one is better. And that is what we're doing this month. So sit back and enjoy while Hannah tells us the recap of the original Parent Trap.
All right, here we go. The 1961 version of The Parent Trap is about two girls, Susan and Sharon, who meet at Camp Inch. They look identical, so they don't like each other. After a few small spats, the girls get into a huge brawl and get themselves into trouble. They have to spend the last 4 weeks of camp in isolation together. During this time, they figure out that they both have the same birthday and they are twins. The girls decide to switch places so Susan can meet their mom and Sharon can meet their dad. When Sharon gets to California and is pretending to be Susie, she finds out that their dad has started to get serious with a woman named Vicky. She calls to tell Susie. Susie, pretending to be Sharon, tells her mom what is happening so her mom will bring her to California. After getting to California, Maggie sees Mitch again and they start to fight. The girls recreate their parents' first date to try to get them back together. Then they say all four of them must go on a camping trip before the girls will reveal who is Sharon and who is Susie. It ends up being Vicky that goes instead of their mom, and the girls do what they can to make Vicky uncomfortable. Once Vicky decides the twins are too much, she leaves. When the girls come back with their dad, they leave their mom and dad alone together, and the two parents rekindle their relationship.
All right, so what did you think about this movie as on its own?
Okay. On its own, I thought it was a little slow. Like my first note I have is intro wasn't messing around, coming in at 3 minutes and 52 seconds. It was a very, very long intro, and I hated every second of it.
And it was animated. It was like super weird, and not that I'm comparing this to Shakespeare, but it reminded me of like the soliloquies at the beginning of Shakespeare where it like tells you the whole story before you get to the story. And I'm just like, thank God I wasn't listening that hard and I already knew the story, or I'd be like, okay, well, why even watch it now? But it was not needed. Why was it so long? I feel like it cost so much money to have that animated, especially in the 60s. Like, why not just have a real person intro?
Yeah, I don't know. That did not make sense to me. Otherwise, I felt like the movie was long, and because it was filmed when it was, I felt that the quality wasn't great, obviously, compared to now. Maybe back then the film quality was awesome, but I just noticed that the quality was bad, and some of the actions or words around things were definitely outdated compared to now.
I will say on the subject of it looking old, while yes, it looked very old. I mean, the green screen was great. I loved looking at the green screen backgrounds. um, but the twins, they're the same person. It's one person playing both, which if you've seen the new Parent Trap, I know we're not talking about differences and similarities, but it's the same for that, which I thought actually twins before watching this film. I thought the original version had actual twins, but it was one girl. And I'm not gonna lie, like, it was pretty good. Like, they did a pretty darn good job in the 60s, like, with their technology and like with making them look like they're in the same room and stuff as each other. So I was pretty impressed, not gonna lie. But yes, you can tell though at times that this was a 60s film.
I was muted. If anyone was watching on YouTube and Rachel doesn't cut that out, you can see that I was talking. Um, I I mean, I agree with that it was shot then, so, like, give it some credit, but I think that's what bugged me is when you could tell the green screen times. I was like, "Okay, people don't walk this way. You are not walking in a park. You are clearly walking in place right now." It's like, couldn't they have gotten a treadmill or something even for them to walk on to make it look more realistic if you couldn't shoot in a park?
Well, and not even just how they were walking. Maybe they were on some like conveyor belt of some sort. I don't know. But the background moved so fast comparatively. When I'm actually walking in a park and like someone's shooting it, the background moves like barely. And so you are not fooling anybody. This was fake. But I will say, I watched part of this version once with my older sister, and she pointed out to me that there was a green screen background, and I had no idea. I was like, how do you know? Huh? How do you know that they're not really in a park? And then the next shot was them like actually walking like to have a picnic or something in the park. And I was like, see, they're in a park there. And she's like, yeah, now. It, like, as a kid, didn't register with me that, like, editing and all of that stuff. I was like, these people are so good. They're so smart and very talented, and it looks so real. So as a kid, you have no idea. But now I'm like, cute, love it, looks great. Keep it up, folks. Go Disney.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know if I would have noticed it when I was younger, but immediately I noticed it. I was like, "Yeah, that's fake." Good try though. What did you think of the parents overall?
The parents were way less charming than I feel like they could have been. I feel like they were trying to make them kind of like fun, but I don't know. I didn't feel like a good connection. And I know in my head I just want to compare it to the one that I saw with Lindsay Lohan, but it's like the dad was like too cool and not like into like he loves his daughter, but like it didn't seem as like friendly as it could have been. And I don't know, if you don't notice that your kid is different when you know that they have a twin in the world, like, how come no one's talking about that? Like, it's not like they didn't know there was another kid out there that was an identical twin. And you're like, you're a little different than the last time I saw you. And you're only at camp for a little bit. On here, how is this happening?
Yeah, that is a good point because I mean, I can't be certain that if I had twins and one of them wasn't in my life for what was it, 14 years in this movie,
Yeah, I
that
think
if they came back, I wouldn't. What?
yeah, I think they were 14.
You would think that you would notice a difference. I mean, I don't know. And especially if they're acting differently, then you would assume something was like you'd be like, could this be my other child? But what how you said the parents could have been more charming. Yeah, they could have been more charming and they also could have been like not abusive because the mom actually punches the dad in the face, like straight up. And
Period.
yeah, I don't support that. I hated that.
It was supposed to be
I
like comedy too. Like they had a past of like this, I feel like. Is that true? Right? What, didn't she like hit him before in their past? And then she did it again like these many years later. You can't tell me you've changed because you have not. And for some reason, like, it's okay for her to have punched him. And I'm like, why did she even punch him? Like, what happened that led up to this moment? I can't personally remember.
I can't either, but I know that the punch was not warranted, and I don't think you should ever punch someone. And they kind of made it seem like a joke. Abuse was a joke. Like it's not a joke. That's a serious thing to hit someone. I didn't like it.
And I like was not rooting for them to get together. I didn't want him to get with Vicky, but I was not rooting for these parents to get back together. I was like, nah, seems like y'all are doing a better job separated here because I don't need them to be viewing this every day if y'all are together. So these kids don't need to witness abusive relationships because if they witness it in the home, that might be what they look for if they think that's what love looks like. And we don't want to keep
True.
perpetuating that. Break the cycle.
Yes, break the cycle. I agree. I did not root for them to get together. I didn't like Vicky with him either, but I was like, toxic
Neither
relationship,
of
do
them
not do it.
like Vicky was just using him for his money and whatnot, whereas she was using him or she was abusive to him, not using him. So I was like, neither of these are a good situation. How about you just be single for a little bit, buddy? Go for it. We believe in you.
Yeah. But I guess we should talk about the girls and the camp. What did you think about the whole camp situation? The girls.
Why does somebody looking exactly like you piss you off? Like, why was that the biggest thing? I don't know. Is that something you would get mad at somebody for looking exactly like you?
No, I think I'd be very curious and want to find out everything. And like, where did you come from? Who are your parents? Why do you look the way that you do? Because I look the same way. Why do we look the same?
And it was like cause for fights. Like, they were just like, that is literally the only reason that they like started trashing their room and pulling these pranks. Like, and we got to talk about some of these pranks real quick at this camp. One of them was like making a mess of their room, and I don't remember because in my head, the only Parent Trap that really sticks in my head is the remake. So I don't know exactly what the room looked like, but I know that there was like gross stuff everywhere, and I'm sure they had all the strings and stuff right as well. I don't know. They like tore it up, but it was like messy. And all I wrote was the dirty room gave me anxiety, like watching them do this. And I'm messy, but I'm not dirty. Like I'll have clothes on the floor or like bags and boxes like that just haven't been put away yet. But you will not see like food wrappers or like food in general or like anything sticky anywhere in my room, especially not in my room, but anywhere. And I'm like, this was too much for me. So I can deal with messy, but dirty is another story. How did you feel about it? Because you're like way more clean than I am, I feel like.
I guess, yeah, I probably am more clean than you. My areas are usually looking like they've never been lived in. Um, I guess I can't remember that it's stuck in my brain. Like I don't have a note about it, but maybe it's because I saw the other Parent Trap before where they have like maple syrup or whatever all over the floor. So like watching it as a prank, it's funny, but if I like actually had to go in there and like step on it, I'd be no, no, no. No, 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 no. And I feel like there must have been another prank, but for some reason the pranks in this movie just don't stand out to me.
I remember one, and you'll
Okay.
remember it once I bring it up. The dance with the boys' camp.
Oh.
And so it's an all girls camp that they're at. And then there's a boys' camp like across the river or something, I don't know. And they come over to have this like formal and stuff. And I don't know which one because I don't know which twin is what, but one of them is talking to a boy and the other one like had all these friends and they like cut a big chunk out of the back of her dress. All I'm saying is no one fabric scissors to camp. Okay, so they're using whatever scissors or shears they found and and this girl has no idea someone's snipping her dress away. One, you probably could hear it, but if you can't, you're standing completely still for 3 minutes and not moving one bit when you're talking to somebody. He doesn't notice these people. They had to cut all the way up to her butt and down. I'm like, you didn't feel anything? Like the tug of the dress? Like, what is going on? Like, whatever. But then when she walks away, she doesn't notice. But I feel like I can tell the actress like is trying to walk in a way to where it looks like she wouldn't notice. because the back of your dress would hit your calves or like ankles or however like long the dress is. You would feel the back, and you would feel the fact that like that section of fabric is missing because the corner where it's snipped would like brush, and then there'd be no more fabric. So I like was watching her walk away, and she was like trying to walk in such a way that her legs didn't swing the dress that much forward, because I was paying attention. I was definitely like, I need to make sure like this is plausible. But she didn't even notice until people started pointing it out to her when she went inside. I was like, no one, no one noticed beforehand. You didn't
And
know.
then those two, the two twins, instead of like being mad or something at each other, I mean, they're very angry. They start to get in a fist fight, don't they? Did I just imagine that? I feel like they were like getting on each other and like going to have a fist fight, and that's why they got sent to isolation.
Oh gosh, I don't remember that at all. But that just could be a testament to like the fact that this movie didn't leave an impression on me.
Well, because they say get into a huge brawl, and that's what I remember. Like maybe they were rolling around on the ground or something, like wrestling or something, but I remember it as something dramatic.
Yeah, all I wrote that got to there was that I love the put them together until they get along trope that are in movies and TV shows, because it like forces two characters who are so conflicted with each other to like deal with each other, and eventually you will have to like talk. And when you do, it's going to be great, great TV. So I love the trope, and especially I love it when it's a couple, basically, like that's getting together. Not like one of those toxic couples that everyone for some reason like supports the enemies to lovers, like bad guy trope though. But I love this so, and I liked it in this movie. I thought it worked well.
I agree. But before we jump more into their characters, can we please talk about the camp counselors and how they look like straight up lesbos? Like, did they try to make them look that way? Like, okay, I understand. I'll be the first to admit you can't tell someone's sexuality or gender by the way they look, right? But if you go by what the stereotypes are that we know of for a lesbian, like think of all of them, and that is the camp counselors. Straight up.
Yeah, I mean, they were wearing like regular camp clothes, kind of like the khaki shorts, right? Or like whatever type of like shorts. But the way that they had like their hair done, the way they had them standing and like dressing and just acting, I was like, the 60s, man. What a wild ride, I guess.
Yeah, like I am obviously all for lesbians, let's be real here, but I would have thought it'd be funny. That was, sometimes I wonder what comes out of my mouth and how I think sentences are making sense. But I would have thought it would be fun to see like a super femme camp counselor and add in like it could be a joke even where she wants to be there for the kids or something, but then when she's outside it's like, oh, there's bugs or I don't know.
Yeah, like a nice Vicky character. Like not a mean horrible human being, but also like that prissy when she's outside. So I agree. I think there should have been some variation, but they weren't focused on those characters. They were focused on the twins just getting together, basically. Okay.
Yeah, we'll never
So
know.
on top of that, so I don't know if you have anything else from camp to touch on.
Nothing at the moment is coming up in my brain about the camp.
Okay. Because going off of the lesbian stereotype of these camp counselors, another comment that did not age well in this movie. So they have to cut one of their hair, okay? Because one of them, and I will never remember which one because I don't know them, which one is Susie and which one is Sharon. But one of them had short hair when she got to camp. And in order to make this switch work, they had to cut the other one's hair so that they matched. But that being said, the one that already had her hair cut was going back to Boston, where she just had to be like, yeah, I got a haircut at camp. And the grandmother goes, "Are you a boy or a girl? Make up your mind." As if your haircut will change your gender, is a representation of your gender. Literally, that's all that's different about this girl, is that she has like a short, like pixie-ish cut. And I'm like, is that made her look like a boy? I mean, okay. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's ridiculous. I didn't like that, and I have that in my notes too. It says the same thing you said. And before that, I have written that there's a fat phobic comment. I can't remember what it is at the moment, but I remember there was something before that there was a fat phobic comment, and I was like, ew, let's not body shame people, please.
And it was like about somebody that wasn't fat either. Like, it was like the fear of getting fat or something. Like, if they continued to do something the way they did. I don't know. And it's like, this girl, I don't know who the fat phobic comment was towards or about. So this is just about like the hair comment. But this girl is 14 years old. Like, why are you trying to like push these, I don't know, weird feelings or beliefs onto this person of like, they should just be able to live their life with whatever hair, clothes, makeup, whatever they want to like do, and like activities that they want to do and wear and everything, because they're still a child. Like, they shouldn't have to care about like what their hair looks like, what clothes they're wearing. Like, yeah, they're 14, so like a lot of people do start to care when to like high school and stuff. Like, people care about this stuff, but they shouldn't have to because of what you're projecting onto them. They should care because it's their personal preference of what they like.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Because it's like you should raise your kids to be whoever they are meant to be, not whoever you foresee them to be. Because guess what? They're never ever going to turn out the way you think that your kid's going to turn out. They're not going to like everything you think they're going to like. They're not going to end up with the type of person you think they're going to end up with. Like, it just doesn't work that way. Your kids are supposed to be who they're meant to be. And if they do everything you tell them to do, I guarantee they're not going to be happy. They're just not.
Like, you already got to live your life, and I'm sorry if your parents did the same thing that you're doing to your child, but it is not the parent's job to make the child who they want them to be. I agree completely with you, Hannah. It is all just fate. It's in the stars. It's whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and you can't stop it. And I think that's what I like about this type, like this generation, and I say that in terms of like the millennials, the Gen Z, and the people upcoming, is that there is a lot more acceptance for be who you're gonna be. There are still parents who are, helicopter parents, or like over your shoulder all the time, making sure that you're doing what they think you should be doing. But I think it's a lot easier because maybe, us and the people a little bit older than us who are having children knew what it was like to have parents like that. This is generally speaking. I'm not saying Hannah and I have parents like that, but generally speaking, know what it's like to be told to do, and what you should be doing with your life. That we don't want to pass it on to our children as a generation. So I like that.
Right. And regardless of who you are and who your parents are, I guarantee you've come into contact with at least one person who's thought that they had the right to tell you how to live your life, whether that is a parent, whether that's a sibling, a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle. There's a cousin. There's been at least one person in your life that thinks that they have the right to tell you what to do with your life and your body. Guaranteed. And so I just think that the more everyone can be like, yeah, guess what? Maybe I wouldn't do that for myself, but if you want to do that for you, awesome, cool, you do that. I think it'll be a better world to live in. But also with the comments, the fat phobic, the grandma saying, "Are you a boy or a girl?" I just have in general, the language was super old timey. Like I wrote in the recap on purpose, I wrote spat because I would never write that normally, but that was like the type of language they would use in this. And brawl, like I wouldn't say they got in a brawl, I would say a fight. But I just remember thinking for the whole movie, I was like, oh, I guess that's a little different than how I would talk now.
It seemed a little more like not professional, but like crafted a lot of the words that were being used. It didn't seem natural. They definitely felt like they were reading lines, I guess. And not because they were bad actors. I thought they were all doing fine at acting. I just don't think their characters were very good at times. But it just felt like the words that were coming out of their mouth were definitely from a script rather than what people would say in the moment. Not even in a way where, like, you know, those like really old timey movies that are just the woman always, all the women sound the same, and like in the 40s and so on, where it just feels like elegant, I guess, like those elegant like 40s movies that no one's seen but everyone knows about, like even like Casablanca. They like talk a certain way, and I've only ever seen clips from it. I've never seen that movie. That's why we started this podcast, so we could watch movies because I don't watch them. And it wasn't even like that, to where they had this like elegance about it. It just felt scripted.
I would agree. And I also agree with the fact that I don't think any of the actors were bad. I think the actors were doing a good job at acting. It just didn't always feel like authentic, or like what was the purpose of you saying this? Why are you saying this? Left me feeling like I wanted to know more. And I don't know why this just came in my mind, but do you remember that scene where this would be another time where you're like, wouldn't you know that there was someone in your house or something? The dad goes up to check on, I don't remember which girl, because once again, well, at this point they had switched places anyway. And he goes upstairs and there's a bra in the bathroom, and he's like thinking that somehow his daughter's gotten a bra, but it's actually Maggie. Is that her name? The mom? Yeah, Maggie. It's Maggie's bra. I don't know why that's in my brain, but I thought that part was funny. And like, how
Yeah.
could you not know?
Well, and so this is the point where the one daughter has told the mom that the dad's going to get married, and so they need to go and like stop it or whatever. So they cancel everything and like fly over to California, and she just like shows up, like is going to take a shower in his bathroom. All this weird, like it just felt weird. Like, you don't think you're going to get caught doing this? Like, where do you think he is that he's not going to walk into his house and like not care that someone's in the shower right now? But then I wanted that reveal to be so much better. It was such a boring reveal in my head, because I, and I know I'm probably just saying this because that's how they did it in the remake, but I wanted the daughters to like be popping in and out like separately and like confusing him and making him be like, well, that was weird. Okay, whatever. Like, I wanted him to question it a little bit right before the Big Bang basically happened. And because don't they just like sneak out during, isn't it like during the wedding, or is it like they're setting up for the wedding? Because the priest is there and he's creepy.
Yeah, I honestly cannot remember. I remember the priest being creepy, but I can't remember how the reveal happens at all. Like that is a total
They
black
like
cloud in my brain.
they like walk out, if I remember correctly. So sorry to anyone listening to this. Apparently this movie we hated, and as you know from a couple podcasts ago, we're going to keep reminding you till we get caught up to the ones that we didn't delete, but I accidentally somehow mysteriously deleted a bunch of our recorded podcasts. So this is now a movie that we've watched months ago, and
Yes,
we
we watched it over 2 months ago. I'm
and
looking at
this
the date we recorded it, and it's over 2 months old.
and this one we did not really particularly like, especially like, also I've seen the remake of The Parent Trap like 30 times in my life. I feel like it's so good, and that's the one that's like trying to creep into my brain. So if our synopsis is wrong, like, or the things that like the plot points are wrong, just ignore those points and just listen to like our analysis of some of the comments and the whatever's coming out. But I'm pretty sure they walk outside and like she waves at him and he like falls into the pool. I remember the pool is still there, that he falls into it. And then they like go inside and that's like when she hits him, I thought. Was like after he had fallen into the pool. But I don't even want to
Yeah.
pretend that I remember what's going on in that part. But I just wanted it to be more like funny and like set up like he could be thinking they're both there, but he's like, well, obviously they're not. They don't know each other, and how would she be here? So I wanted that to like happen before you got the reveal of like she's there. And also, he can't be that stupid to where he thinks a bra that Maggie can wear would fit his child. Also,
Yeah.
where would have the bra came from? Like, I'm pretty sure he's the one doing most of the shopping, unless the nanny takes her out. Which, by the way, the nanny was a total gossip, and I was here for it. She'd always be like, not that I would say anything. Like, she had a catchphrase or something like that, you know, where she'd be like, not not that I should be involved. Like, she would say something and then go on and talk about it. It was very funny.
I think it's something like, not that I'm saying my opinion on it, but, or not that I'm saying this is what I think, but, um, it was interesting. I personally don't like gossipy people, so I didn't like that. Like, I mean, I get that it's funny, but I just don't like gossip. So I didn't like that. But let's talk about how the girls set up this meal for the parents. Okay, so they recreate their parents' first date, which is, was it an Italian restaurant? Am I okay? That's what I thought. And then they have this performance they do on stage with both the girls singing and dancing to Let's Get Together. And it was a long song, is what I remember. It felt long. It was 18 minutes
everything
long.
everything was too long. They tell you enter late, leave early in scenes, and that's not just for sitcoms. Okay, I know we talked about it with Schitt's Creek, but it is also with regular movies too, because we don't want to just be sitting here for 3 minutes longer than we need to. So like we didn't need the whole song.
Yeah, I mean the idea was cute, but the actual deliverance of the scene, or whatever you want to say.
Execution.
Yeah, the execution, that is the word I was looking for, but it was right out of
See,
my brain.
usually me, I can't think of simple words. And Hannah's just looking for
Yeah,
execution, which is
yeah.
what we are going to do to this film. We're going to execute it because it,
And like, we don't want to come off like we're just like trashing this film. I honestly don't think it's terrible. If you could only watch one version of The Parent Trap and it was this version and it was like this, or watch nothing, I would definitely say watch it. And it's probably above a bunch of other films I've seen too. But I just think that if you have a choice between this version of the movie or the other one and you only can watch one, spend your time watching the other one. There was something else I wanted to talk about, but I can't remember. Oh, at the end, the parents, what was with the scene in the kitchen at the end when they're like getting back together? There was something really weird about her like standing on the stool and like her being barefoot that he was like turned on.
it was okay. First things first, I barely remember the camping scene. Let's just put that out there. I don't remember anything from camping except
I remember that Vicky hated fish and they did something with like sugar water for mosquitoes too, because I know that they did that in the second movie as well. And the difference in this one was that she just leaves. I don't think she
oh, and
made
they
him
had that
make a
extra
choice.
guy to drive
Yeah,
her.
the butler,
Yeah,
or whatever
he
his
was.
name is. He was the ranch hand or something.
Yeah. Anyway, so sorry that we're not about to talk about the camping scene because I don't remember it at all. I only remember the one from the Lindsay Lohan movie, and so you will hear me talk about that next week. But yeah, the scene in the kitchen is so weird because she like needs to like step up on a stool to get something from the cabinet, right? I think is what happens, or up on a chair or something. And it's like the way the camera looks, it's like just at like her calves to her feet. And the it like was an emotional connection for him. He had, like spiritually had something with these feet or her calves or something. And it was so uncomfortable. I was like, what are they implying here? Like, and it, well, okay, I think we saw her back too, honestly. I think it was her whole
I
behind
think it
her.
was waist down.
Yeah,
It
I just
could have been
remember
higher,
kind of
but
she had like a swoop back on her dress, but I think it like went down. I don't know. It very much, I was like, are they trying to imply a foot fetish? Which is whatever, but like I'm not here to like watch fetishes on TV, especially in a kids movie. Like this is supposed to
yeah.
be not a sexual experience for anybody watching this film.
And it felt that way. And I'm
Yeah,
someone who's fine with sex being on everything and anything, basically. But this scene, I felt like it was. And maybe it is because I felt like it was implying a foot fetish too, which power to you if that's your thing. I hate feet. Like, I hate feet. So, like, the fact that I thought that it was even implying that, I was like, no,
and I don't,
I'm out.
and I just don't watch other people get on by whatever fetishes they have. That's just not something I personally want to be watching, especially in a kids movie. This is for children,
True.
supposedly. So why is this got to be here? I mean, a lot of people argue that they don't want like gay relationships in kids movies because it's too mature for them, for whatever the f that means. But you're about to put this like weird sexy scene at the end of this children's movie. The 60s are freaking weird. Okay, this should not be acceptable here. Also, speaking of weird things in the 60s, like I need to go back to this priest. I don't remember what he said, but he was like hitting on multiple women in this movie. And it wasn't funny. Like, it was weird because it made me uncomfortable. One, you're a priest, you are celibate, and you are not supposed to be having feelings towards other people in that way because you're supposed to like focusing all of that energy on serving God or something like that. I don't really understand priests and why they don't have like wives or husbands or anybody, but because I'm from the Lutheran religion and our pastors can be married if they want. And so I don't know exact, but I think it's like you are fully devoted to God and not another human. Basically, is like a gist of it. People out there, correct me if I'm wrong. Comment below or email us and correct me. I don't mind. I want to know what's right. It was like supposed to be some joke that he like funny that he was hitting on these women, and then in the 60s, like that kind of stuff is supposed to be funny, and I'm like, not everyone really wants to be hit on, especially if she's trying to like win her husband back, this Maggie, her ex-husband. I mean, I guess they weren't married at the time right now, but mm, I don't laugh at that. Sorry. Sorry, everybody.
I didn't like it. Um, I have a fun fact. Well, did you know that this movie was, so if you remember last week, our movie was Carol and it was based off of a book. Well, this was also based off of a book that was called Lottie and Lisa by Eric Kastner. I don't know how you say his last name. It's K-A with umlauts S-T-N-E-R. So that's interesting because I didn't know that The Parent Trap was off of a book. I had no clue.
Me neither. And then they like did remakes of it. So obviously it was a good piece of work that they wanted to produce. I do think it's an interesting story. I find it, like I will always say, odd that you can't tell your own child like apart from a technically a stranger. I don't care how much prep work you give somebody. They walk into that house and you think they're going to be able to like perfectly match like who you were. I'm sorry, that doesn't sound right. But you don't know your own child. Also, I think it's a good movie and the concept is very interesting as a movie. But looking at it as real life, these parents thought it was a good idea that when they got divorced that each of them was going to take one kid and never let them see each other ever and pretend that they didn't exist. That seems a little cruel.
Yeah, wouldn't you want your kid to know that they have a sibling? Especially a twin? I mean, I guess it doesn't even matter, especially a twin. Just like a sibling in general, I feel like I would, but maybe that's just me. Or if I was the kid, I would want to know I had a sibling.
Well, and I think the big problem is they just didn't want to see the X. But I'm sorry, you're a parent first. Like, it has been 14 years. Like, where's the maturity level here? Like, you are supposed to put your children first, regardless of how y'all handle each other. Okay. And if you can't stand each other, have someone you trust, like, pick them up and bring them to them and things like that. Because there are relationships, this one apparently, where there's like abuse or other terrible things that happened where one, you might have a restraining order on them, or two, you physically can't be in the same room with them without having terrible like experience. Okay. And so find someone to bring the children to meet each other. Okay. Even if they don't meet the other parent for whatever reason, I think this keeping the siblings apart is a little cruel.
Yeah, I agree. I have another fun fact. If you remember, Rachel said that the twins are played by the same actor. Well, the body double is played by Susan Henning. So they do have a body double, obviously, to just like get the backs of head and whatever. And she had to sign away her credited rights in her contract, so she could not be put in the credits as a body double. I don't know why they would do that. Like, that seems interesting to me. But from Walt Disney for doing that, or just like for her performance, she received a Duxter award, which is for the best unseen performance. And apparently those are still given out. I can't remember who else has gotten, or maybe there was only like a few that have been given out, but it's pretty special that he gave it to her for the best unseen performance, which I think is funny.
Yeah, because the Duxter isn't only for Best Unseen Performance, it's like a special internal Disney award that they give out, and it can be for basically anything. So, yeah, that's a really cool fun fact because I didn't know those existed. And you always wonder about stunt doubles, body doubles, what becomes of them, what are they doing, and stuff. And I'm shocked there was only one body double.
Yeah, because we will let you know next week how many there were for that Parent Trap, and I will just give you a disclaimer. There is a difference in numbers, quite a big one, which is interesting. I want to know, Rachel, if you were in this movie and you were the body double or something, like, would you be fine being a body double and not being credited, or would you be like, no, like, my part needs to be something that my name is on the screen?
I would need to see the paycheck. I need to know how much I'm getting paid. Because if it's worth it, like for my time and hourly wage, like of how long I'm in this movie, I guess I wouldn't care. I mean, we obviously know who it is all these years later, and she apparently isn't in the credits. So it obviously got out that she did it, and there's credited sources out there vouching for it. So I don't think I'd be that. I think I'd be disappointed because I'm a child at the time. Like, I'm probably around the same age as these girls. And so I think I'd be like disappointed that I couldn't have my name on the screen, but hopefully I would go and do bigger and better things in the future and be an actress as well, or model, or whatever she ended up. I don't even know what she ended up doing, but hopefully I would have future opportunities to get credited. Because here's the thing, in the industry, in the industry I'm going into, the writing industry, there are going to be times where I potentially like fix or rewrite an entire script for somebody, basically just to get credibility that I am capable of doing this, and I won't get any credit or even any money for it. Like, that is a real thing that happens out there. And while I don't necessarily always like agree with that, but if that's how the industry works, like, I'm willing to make my way through it to get a paid gig at some point. But as an adult, I don't think I'd be as upset. But I will say, when I was in the play recently and they had the wrong bulletin. I don't know what it's called. Bulletin out that had everyone's
Playbill?
playbill. Yeah, when they had the wrong one out that had everyone's names for who was in the play, and my name wasn't on it as the actress the day that I was performing, I was a little grumpy, but it's just because I'm salty. So,
Yeah, I feel like it'd be hard to not have your name. Obviously, it depends on what it was. And what if it was something where like it could never come out, like you couldn't even tell anyone you signed away that, right? Like you literally couldn't tell anyone. I don't think I would like that. But if if it had a good reason, I suppose, that'd be fine.
yeah,
But I think that I'd rather have credit go where credit's due.
I just want to know what the reason behind it is. That's the main thing. Why isn't her name in the credits? Like, even like at the bottom behind extra number 342, you know? Like, is it just to keep the illusion up? Because no one's reading them credits except for the girl and her family who want to just see her name.
Right. That I'm assuming it's for the illusion, but yeah, I don't think it really makes sense. But those are all my facts or things I have to say about this movie. Do you have anything else you want to say about this movie?
No, I am completely finished. Follow us on the Instagram, everybody, at youtalkingtome.podcast. Follow us on Twitter at youtalkingtome11, because we're both number one. Go and email us. Like I said, if anything in here is wrong or you just want to like tell us that maybe we should have rewatched the movie, you can email us at youtalkingtomepodcast@gmail.com. We are on YouTube now. Well, we've always been on YouTube, but we are in video now on YouTube. So you can go and subscribe to our channel, like our videos, leave us comments, and push the little notification bell so that you get notified when our video goes live every week. With that, come back next week to hear us talk about the remake, which we know a lot about. Okay, we will not be stumbling through that podcast. So I'm sorry if this one was a struggle to listen to. I promise next week will be better. Just take our sincerest apology, basically.
Yes, we'll just keep getting better and better. I can't remember who started this podcast at the beginning.
That would be me. So I will end it. And I'm Rachel.
I'm Hannah.
And this was the You Talking to Me podcast.
Sorry if it was a train wreck.
Bye.
Bye.